Hello, I'm Mark and I'm in the studio today with Neville from a group called Way Out West. And they're a new group who started about 6 weeks ago in the western suburbs, and you're a group just for men?
Yep, just for guys, whether that be men, young men, old men, stocky men, all sorts of guys. We're not being any sort of criteria as to how you can be part of Out West Men. It's just a matter of, you've got to be a male. Apologies to the females, of course, but there's other groups for them, and this is just a support group and a social group for men and guys. And
it is just for guys in the western suburbs, or that's the main people?
Visitors are welcome to come along.
Right.
Like there's anyone that wants to travel to the western suburbs is fine. I do stress that it's not a sex group; it's a social group. It's about going out and having drinks or socialising with friends, whether it be a barbecue or a picnic, movie, something like that. There's not that much for gay men in the western suburbs. I mean, we have one hotel, but some people don't want to do that. So this is something that we think has been lacking for a while.
And how did the group start up? What led you to?
A couple of friends and myself. A couple of friends have lived in the western suburbs for years, but I've just shifted at Christmas time. So it was sort of like an eye-opener as to how little there is for people to do in the western suburbs. And it's not as though it's another country or anything, but sometimes it does feel a little bit like that. But we thought, why not let's have a group that can socialise once a month. Ideally it'd be great if you had your own pub and all that sort of stuff, but that all takes money and commitment. But a nice group for people is a good way to start.
And how did you end up getting members or people for?
We basically, I mean, we only started like 6 or 7 weeks ago, but it was word of mouth that started us off. The first event last month, we thought we'd have 20 guys, 30 guys at the most, and we got 60, so that was a good start. It's basically you get information by email. We don't have a website or anything like that. It's just your email, outwestmen@hotmail, and then we email you back once a fortnight or whatever with what's coming up and what events on and all the details.
Okay, so you had your first event at which pub was this?
At the Exit Inn in Newport. And because it was so good, and the bar staff were really friendly, and it was a really nice night, we thought we'd go back there and just gel the group together, of the group that have come. But of course, it's going to be double the numbers this time anyway. And then we'll start on events for the future, like.
Okay, what sort of event?
We're going to be having events like a picnic at the Point Cook Park. Car rallies, just good social stuff. The Sun Theatre in Yarraville, they have a little function room, so we might have a function there one day or one night. We have 2 guys that have registered that are under 18, so we have to also have events for those guys that are not going to be able to do just pubs, because there's lots of guys in the western suburbs, young guys that are still coming out or still living at home with their parents or whatever, that want social outlets, not necessarily pub nights, so we'll be doing other things as well apart from just pub nights. So
I guess it's good that not everybody wants to be, going to gay clubs and pubs, to pick up or whatever. You want actually social interaction just with other, friends, other gay people. So I guess that's a good way for them to meet.
It's a good way. We have, in this modern day, we have lost the knack of making new friends, and
because you can do it on the internet as well.
It's just the internet's taken away that ability of ours to learn about people. So, and I'm not saying that this group will be easy to learn to meet people, but it's going back to basics of going out and or going to a venue and meeting other people there and getting to know them, I suppose. So
that's great. All right. So I wanted to ask you about the Shield Sisters. Now we were talking about this before, but I actually don't know what they were. What was that group?
The Shield Sisters was a group that used to get together once a year for raising money for kids with HIV and cancer at the haemophiliac ward at the Royal Children's Hospital. We did it for 10 years. It started off small and ended up with a cast of 20-something. So it was a very bizarre. We used to perform here for many years. So, but it was always about volunteers, and everyone would pay for their own costumes and rehearse for 3 months, all just for one night's glory, and raise some money for the kids. And it didn't go straight into the Royal Children's Hospital coffers. It went into the director of the wards so that they'd do different activities, go-kart racing, or the HIV kids used to go away to the cancer camps. Instead of having other kids there, it'd be just all the HIV kids and things like that. So
Okay.
it was all, and it wasn't just gay or lesbian, it was gay and lesbian and straight people that used to just come together and have fun raising money. And we used to sell out, 450 people in one night just by word of mouth. Virtually.
Wow, just by word of mouth. Wow. And why did that stop?
After 10 years, it takes a lot of organising to get things. After 7 years, it nearly sort of folded, but a few of us decided that no, we wanted to make it to 10 years, make it a milestone, and so we just kept at it. And we could still keep going today, but there's plenty of groups out there, so
Yeah.
it was always fun.
Okay. And you, of course, were the gay mechanic.
Yeah,
For a long
yeah,
time.
for many years. I was
Yeah.
the gay mechanic for 10 years, I suppose, and hello to all my customers or ex-customers. I'm sure there's plenty out there. They always ring me or email me to say where you're working and how can we get our car fixed. So
Now, anyone who wants to contact you with in regard to the group, how do they do that?
they just simply send us an email to outwestmen@hotmail.com, and then we'll just send them back an email about where we're meeting next time and everything. So for all those guys that live in Geelong or anything, they can come along to social events. And
No, I think it's great. I think, something like that, for particularly Western suburbs area is good, because not everybody, wants to get in their car and drive over the West Gate and go to,
it's just that little bit further.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, I guess, if you live in St Kilda or Paran or whatever, but yeah, you want something, on your side of town. So, and like for us, my partner and I live in Geelong, and there's not a lot up there for us. If you're single, I suppose, where do you go, and where do you go
it
to
would
meet
be a long
other-
way from Geelong to Collingwood
Sure.
if you want to go out on a Friday night or whatever, Saturday night. So hopefully this will give some sort of avenue for guys living in the West to make friends. And
And also with the variety of stuff that you're planning to do, it does give people who have, I'm sure not everyone's interested in the same thing, it does give people, like if they've got an interest in cars or, in wine, which, we all should.
Most homosexuals have an interest in wine.
So I think your bus trip might be a bit full. You might have to
have
order two buses. Yeah.
Well, that'd be funny, wouldn't it? 80 guys travelling around the countryside, 40
Could
in a
be fun.
bus. We'll get some really good hosts, I suspect.
Yes. All right, well, we'll leave it there.
If they want any info, just email outwestmen@hotmail.com. We'll send out some stuff on Saturday for those that join up after tonight. So,
And is there a membership fee? Or
no, we just
what's-
run a raffle. We supply finger food, buy your drinks at bar prices. Music is by the CD player.
Yep.
And
Okay.
we pay for the finger food, so we run a raffle to sort of pay for the finger food and everything during the night. So
Okay.
that's what happens. So outwestmen@hotmail.com, and we'll send you some stuff.
Okay, great.
Thank you for having us.
No worries, thank you.
Hi there and welcome to another Q View. I'm Michael and I'm here as usual with Kris.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And Erica.
Hello.
And
we're on location today, aren't we?
we are, and where are we?
Erica?
We're out in the lovely park back behind Safeway in the heart of Paran.
We are indeed. Real well poofter territory we are here today.
Indeed, right.
And funny that we
Right
should be in a
thick of
park.
it. Indeed. No toilets anywhere.
Listen, no, I want to talk to you about men copping out.
Yeah, I hear a lot about that.
Well, I think we've heard the best cop out for a man not to ever get married, Brad Pitt. And Angelina Jolie. Yeah. Have you heard what he said? He's come out and he said that he wouldn't get married until gay and lesbian people, in his country at least, have that same right. Now, I don't know if the man's actually a gay activist or he's just really spinning a line.
I think in order to be in Hollywood, you are basically a de facto gay activist.
That's very
And
true.
God
yeah.
bless Brad, he's got a big following in the gay community, even now when he's in his mid-40s. But hey, he's filled out a bit and now he looks quite nice.
He has filled out a lot, hasn't he?
I know, it's funny. That's a funny thing about men. Once they kind of hit into their 30s, they actually start looking like men.
No, but I think he did a lot of work for that. What was that film where he was, that Greek god sort of film?
Troy,
Oh,
wasn't it?
Troy.
That was Troy.
Well, he obviously had to be at the gym 18
Yes.
hours a day to look like that. It was,
Like that, yeah.
it was filth, absolute
Get
filth.
hair extensions. But yes,
Indeed.
this is what he said apparently about not marrying Angelina Jolie. But I've been told and read several times that Angelina doesn't want to get married to anybody.
So it's a kind of moot point.
She's quite happy with her rainbow family and her man candy. So I think that Brad's just trying to make up for the fact that he's been rejected, because Brad's always been the very big family man. When he was with Jennifer, he was always whining about how he wanted a kid and all
Now
of
he's
that.
got several.
Now he's got several. So I think that maybe he's just
There's a-
using a very good excuse, and thank you, Brad, for saying it. God bless you. But yeah, we
that's true.
need the publicity.
Oh,
But
we don't know where he's really coming from.
think it's a
'cause
bit
these
of a
things
lame
are,
excuse.
Well, they're taken out of context.
Exactly.
But speaking of, not necessarily hunks, because Brad Pitt is, but the winner of the Clio Bachelor of the Year.
Andy Lee from Fox FM's Hamish and Andy show.
Thank you very much, because I'd forgotten what radio
101
station it was.
101.9.
But isn't that interesting? They haven't gone, and I think it's the women who log in. Well, it's probably
I
a few
believe
men
as well.
too that
It has to
voted
be
for
some
it.
men, surely.
But he's not your buff, sort of body-built sort of guy.
No, he's not.
And does this mean that it's
weird.
true what they say about women wanting to make them laugh?
I think so. I think that, I know in my head the whole idea of a boyfriend is basically a best friend who you have sex with. Hopefully lots. I'm still trying to find somebody to keep up with me, but
You want the
anyway.
best friend first.
Yes. Yeah, you want somebody who's going to make you laugh and make you happy, and
Has anyone ever done that? Like slept with what's supposed to be their best friend and really regretted it? Like it changed everything?
Oh God, we don't have an hour for me to talk about that.
Let's not go down that path.
People who know me know that saga.
Yeah, let's just not go down there.
Just as
Not
a
good for
follow-up
public- Not good for public knowledge.
to
No.
our National Day of Action cover, which I hope all of you managed to see here on Bent TV, which was just before our Southern Hibernation specials that have been on recently.
That's right.
Civil Union Action have now come out and are asking the Brax Labor government to issue up Please Explain, because this civil unions bill put up by Andrew Alexander, the independent or now independent member here in the Victorian government, has put forward a bill, and it's been deferred by the government. It passed first and second readings and everything, but they've deferred it. Now, some people argue that's a good thing because there wasn't much time to debate it left in this session of Parliament, yada, yada, yada. And a lot of other people are just saying, well, what is the Brax government's stand on civil unions? Just because they keep saying it's not on the agenda, does that mean they're actually for it or against it? What do you think, Erica?
I don't think they even know what their stance on civil unions is. Unfortunately, because they've wound up saying it's not on the agenda and come up with excuses where it can't be debated in Parliament for long enough, which is legitimate because then it can be taken by the media and blown out of context and turned into a wedge issue. So good on them really for leaving it alone because they don't have enough time.
As a gay person, I'd like to know, it could affect who I vote for in November.
It would have an effect, that's right, but because it's pre-election, they don't want the hot topic such as it is to be coming out in public because it just might sway the election.
But hasn't Ted Baillieu said something?
Oh yeah, Ted Baillieu actually has been saying that he'd find a civil union arrangement for same-sex couples perfectly acceptable, which at the same time that's fantastic, and the Liberal Party, surprisingly enough, has been the party which
Actually, a history
been,
of granting gay rights here in Victoria, not the full hog, obviously, but decriminalisation, blah, blah, blah.
I think the Brax government might have let the opposition streak ahead of them on this issue by refusing to talk about it, which is disappointing because I don't have that much of an ill feeling towards them for not addressing it before the election, because you don't want a repeat of the 2004 US presidential election where it was twisted and used and manipulated, and we're back with Dunderhead now.
Nasty pasties came out of the closet then, didn't they? Yeah, she can sometimes do more harm than good.
Let us know.
Feedback at
benttv.org.au
or
PO Box
6256
St Kilda Road Central
8008. You can give us your opinion on anything we said today or anything you'd like us to talk about, or just to say
Hello!
give us some
Ahoy
subject
there!
matter.
That's
All
right.
hands on deck.
Or if indeed you'd like to help us out here and become a volunteer, or more importantly, subscribe to Bent TV. It's only
Just
$30.
Just to
And
say
you
hi.
help keep us on the air.
Yes.
I think that's all we've got
think-
time
I
for.
think yes,
We're going to have to say
yes,
goodbye.
we
That was
are.
Kris, that was Erica, and I'm Michael, and this has been Q View here on Bent TV.
Hi, I'm Jo Mullins and you're on Studio Q. In the studio with us today we have Damian Miller. Damian is a theatre director. He works in a variety of capacities. He had sellout seasons with Cloud9 and with The Illusion in Sydney, and he's here to tell us a bit about his work. Damian, can you start off with how did you start in the industry?
Oh, well, I started out as a musical performer for a little while, touring with a rogue production of the Rocky Horror Show. And when I was lucky enough to get into Melbourne Uni, I started a theatre company there, which was a gay and lesbian focused theatre company, and we did a production of a play called Bent by Martin Sherman. But that was some time ago. I moved on from there. I started working for a little while as a performance artist for Act Up in Melbourne, doing some shows for them. I like to think that I discovered that Jimmy Barnes was a camp icon before he did. After that I went to NIDA. I trained there as a director, and since then I've ended up teaching at NIDA as well as working around town as a director and dramaturg.
And you do a bit of writing yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I do. My first play was one that was actually written for the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras, just in the year that it went belly up, and that was dramaturged by the dearly departed and much missed Nick Enright. Since then I've written a few adaptations, and what I've got coming up next is yet another adaptation.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it's an adaptation of a set of war journals by 3 writers, none of whom are Australian, none of whom are queer, and it's based on a book whose rights are held by Miramax. So I've been working with the Sydney Theatre Company on this adaptation for a while.
How difficult was it to get the rights to be able to produce?
Extremely difficult. We've been working with Miramax lawyers in America for about 2 years.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. It is a long time. I started out trying to get the rights with the help of the authors, who were very, very keen on getting a stage adaptation of their work up in the world somewhere. I started out trying to get the rights when I was just working with my small independent theatre company. My main producer is a former UN peacekeeper, a woman called Tamura Lee, who was a captain in Bougainville in East Timor, and I remember I was reading a set of reviews about 2 years ago about this book, and the book's called Emergency Sex, and that's what the play is called.
Yeah, fabulous title.
It's a great title. It's a great title. I'm lucky to have inherited it, and it's a piece about three quite young people, young adults who move into peacekeeping work. They meet up in the first free elections that were held in Cambodia in 1992. And from there they travel together and separately to places like Mogadishu in Somalia, where the Black Hawk Down incident happened, which they were caught up in, through to Haiti and the military coup that had happened there, and from there on to some of the most horrifying landscapes of the 20th century, Rwanda and Bosnia and Liberia, where there was a forgotten war which involved the most hideous abuses of human rights.
So the play is a rather heavy play, I take it?
Well, it's got some light moments in amidst the genocide, but it's a really tough and challenging work. And when I set out to adapt it, I was very cognizant of the fact that I wanted to be faithful to what drew me to the work as a piece of prose in the first place.
And what was that?
That was the voices of these three people. One of them's a doctor from New Zealand, a bloke called Andrew Thompson, who has a whole set of religious struggles while he's away. He ends up at one point. And he does come from a position of quite strong Christian faith. He ends up in a church in Rwanda, hiding and weeping up in the bell tower as he looks down at this church where a massacre took place over a period of 3 days of all civilians, all people who could have been saved by the United Nations, but the United Nations did absolutely nothing.
So tragic.
It's terrifying.
When is your play showing?
It's showing at the start of November, and it's showing in Sydney. This is a development, so it's not a full production, and will have a life in other states.
And we're hoping it will be coming to Melbourne next year.
I'm certainly hoping that.
Thank you very much for joining us, Damian. You've been watching Studio Q. Thank you very much.
Mm.